Welcome to Mishnah, Study Masechet Sanhedrin, Perekim al Mishnah Dalit. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to focus on relatives who cannot testify. So in last Mishnah, we spoke about people who cannot testify because of actions, of things they've done, right? They violated Torah laws, Doraita, Drabanan. We saw certain things. Over here, now we're going to speak of people who cannot testify on your behalf because they're related to you. And who are these Kiruvim? Elu hena Kiruvim. Who are they? Achiv, right? His brother. V'achi aviv, right? His father's brother. So your uncle, but from your father's side. V'achi imo, and your uncle's from your mom's side. Uba'al achoto, his sister's husband, right? So it's your brother-in-law. But we'll see over here we have gisos for something else. So this will be your brother-in-law, but your sister's husband. Uba'al achot aviv, right? So this is your dad's sister's husband. So it's your uncle from your dad's side. Uba'al achot imo. So this is his mom's sister's husband. Again, your uncle that married in from your mom's side. Uba'alimo, right? Your mom's husband, right? So your stepdad. V'hamiv, right? Hamiv is his father-in-law. V'agiso, right? Giso is his wife's sister's husband. Hen ubnehem v'hatanehem, right? So all these people, them, their children, and their hatanim, right? Their son-in-laws, right? So if they had a daughter, whoever's married to them, right? Because we know the Baal Bito, right? The husband of his daughter is has the same status of his daughter himself, and Baal, right? A husband is like his is like his wife in that regard too. Okay. Now, what we said over here, that the son, right, of your brother-in-law, the son of your the father-in-law, right, is also considered a karov, considered a relative. That's if it's the son of from your wife's sister, right? But if it's your brother-in-law's son, his a stepson that he brought into the marriage from a different wife, that's okay, right? That's not considered a relative. Now the Mishnah continues. Vehorgo levado. Horgo is a stepson. Only him. Only the stepson is pasul. Is pasul edut for you. Is considered a karov relative to you. But his children are not going to be. Now Amar Rabbi Yosef zo Mishnat Rabbi Akiva. Right. This is the Mishnah of Rabbi Akiva. But about Mishnah Yishonah, the original Mishnah, what it consists of, Dodo uben Dodo, right? His uncle and his first cousin. Now, Harambam over here goes into a very interesting how to actually identify. He gives you a nice summary. I'll get to the summary at the end because I just want to finish the Mishnah first. The Mishnah continues, right? Anyone who's fit to inherit, right? So now Harambam explains this is going back to the regular, Tanakama, right? It's not continuation of Mishnah Rishonah. It's going back to everyone who agrees to this. Anyone that can inherit, right? So this is uncles from the dad's side, right? Right? Anyone that's related to him at that moment. Is better. Kasher, right? If he was karov, he was a relative, but then became distance, right? I don't know. He got he got divorced, right? Your brother-in-law, he got divorced. Okay, now he's if at the time now he's kasher, he can can testify in a case with you. Again, as long as the case happened after the divorce, and he's sitting in the court case obviously after the divorce. Rabbi Yehuda Omer afilu meta bito v'yesh lo banim mimena arei karov. Right, so Rabbi Yehuda says even if his daughter died and he has grandkids from her, right? That's considered a karov, right? That's still considered a relative, right? So let's say a person's son-in-law, according to Tanakama, a person's son-in-law, once his daughter dies, that's it. It's either they're not considered quote unquote relatives anymore. But Rabbi Yehuda says if there's grandchildren in the case, right, then he's still considered a relative. And halacha is not like Mishnah Yishonah nor like Rabbi Yehuda. Now Harambam over here goes through the halacha, right, and this is a nice way of really summing it up. And he says, what's considered a karov? that's kasher and what's considered a karov that's a relative that's pasul for edut. And he says if they come from the same lineage, right? So you have a dad and two brothers, right? That's considered those two brothers, that first generation, right, are first degree relatives, right? So the dad and the son, the two brothers, right? Those are first degree relatives. That's considered Rishon Berishon. Okay, their kids, right? So the two brothers' kids, those are first cousins. Those are considered Sheni Besheni. And though the next generation of kids, so the grandkids, right? Not the first cousins' kids are second cousins to each other. Those are considered Shlishi Bishlishi. Okay, that's a third degree. Now, if you had Rishon and Rishon is Pasul, Sheni Basheni is also Pasul for Edut. If you have a Shlishi already, Harambam says a Shlishi Barishon, right? So that's a great nephew with his great uncle. That would be kasher. They could testify with or against each other, right? According to Harambam, he's posek like Rava, not like Rav in the Gemara. Other Rishonim Acholek can say that's asur, but Shlishi and Harambam says Kal v'chomer Shlishi b'sheni. Right, obviously, the first cousin once removed, right, which we would say, right, the first cousin, right, and first cousin with his first cousin's son, right, that would also be allowed, and that's really very important, right? Very important to mention these laws when it comes to edut, who's allowed to sign on a ketubah, who's allowed to, right? All these laws when it comes to edut, we have to make sure no one's related. I would just point out that the Mishnah, what did it not mention in the Mishnah, interestingly enough? It didn't say his dad, right? It says his brothers, his father, it didn't say his dad. How come it didn't say his dad in the Mishnah? And so Rabban points out, because it's a pasuk in the Torah, right? It's Mikra Mefurash, right? And we're only mentioning other things, the things that are not specified in the Torah, right? What does the pasuk say? Lo yimetu avot al banim, ubanim lo yimetu al avotam, right? So, a son, fathers are not going to die from their kids and kids not from their fathers, meaning they're not going to, they can't testify against each other to, for one to put the other to death, right? So obviously, that's a pasuk in the Torah, right? That's Rambam's understanding that pasuk in the Torah, and therefore it's not mentioned in the Mishnah. But everyone else in the Mishnah is asur, and the halacha is as we mentioned.